The reason was we had a verdict in the federal trial against the 3 men connected to the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. They were all facing charges of racism, of hatred, hate crimes, and all 3 were found guilty on all charges. The verdict came in about 10:30 Eastern time, and after that verdict was read, the family of Ahmaud Arbery, who has been through so much, gathered outside the courthouse and addressed the media, including Wanda Cooper Jones, Ahmaud Arbery's mother. Let's listen to some of that.
I want to first say thank you to everyone who stood by us for this fight for justice for Ahmaud. It's been a very long, stressful fight for the members of the community, for the city of Brunswick, the state of Georgia, for the people who stood with us through the nation of the United States of America. We would not be standing here today without each and every one of you. I now want to address the members of the DOJ. I'm very thankful that you guys brought these charges of hate crime. But back on January the 31st, you guys accepted a plea deal with these 3 murderers who took my son's life. Marcus and 2 of Ahmaud's aunties stood before the courts and begged the judge not to take a plea deal that the DOJ went before the judge and asked them to take a plea deal with these guys.
That's a mother.
Attorney Ben Crump just called these women, just called her name, Christian Clark.
Yes.
As I traveled to Brunswick on that Sunday afternoon, I spoke to Christian Clark and the lead attorney, Tara Lyons, begging them to please not take this plea deal. They ignored my cry. I begged them. Even after the family stood before the judge and asked the judge to not take this plea deal, the lead prosecutor, Tara Lyons, stood up and asked the judge to ignore the family's cry.
Justice.
That's not justice for Ahmaud.
Come on.
What we got today, we wouldn't have gotten today if it wasn't for the fight that the family put up on January the 31st. What the DOJ did today, they was made to do today.
Come on.
It wasn't because what they wanted to do.
Taxpayer.
They were made to do their job today.
That's all.
Yes, ma'am.
As a mother, what role does this play today for you in any healing?
Healing?
She'll never heal.
I, as a mom, will never heal.
You better say it. Come back. As a mother. You're a mother.
I want to go back to the DOJ. I told the DOJ that yes, they were prosecutors, but one thing they didn't have a son that was lying in a cold grave.
Come on now. All right. Come on.
And they still didn't hear my cry.
Yes.
Okay. So again, we got a victory today. But it's so many families out there who don't get victories because of people that we have fighting for us.
Come on now. That's right.
Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Very emotional. It was right in the eyes. Can you talk a little bit about what you would like to say to the jury in this case?
I'm very thankful that a good jury was selected. I wasn't worried at all that we wouldn't. I knew Ahmaud's hands was in this from the very beginning.
Amen.
The way Ahmaud left here, I knew that we would get victory on the state level and in the federal level. I knew that from day one.
Amen.
I do appreciate that they took the time out of their busy schedule to come in and listen to nonsense. Because the way Ahmaud left here was pure nonsense. It was senseless.
That's right.
But I appreciate their time.
That's right.
And they gave us a sense of a small victory. But we as a family will never get victory because Ahmaud is gone forever.
Come on.
It's out.
Amen.
That's right.
Yes.
The people around them that still think like the McMichaels and Ryan think.
That if they make the driveway decisions that the McMichaels made, they'll be going to the same place that they're going.
Come on. All right.
So they can make the same decisions, but they'll face the same consequences.
Come on.
Say something. Hold on, we're going to let Marcus address and then we'll finish.
Come on, girl. That's right. Ooh, that's a hot.
All right, that was Wanda Cooper Jones outside the federal courthouse. You see Marcus Arbery just standing up to the mics. We'll have more about on this throughout the day here on Court TV. The reaction to the guilty verdicts in federal court against Greg McMichael, Travis McMichael, and William Roddy Bryant in connection to the death of Ahmaud Arbery. Melissa Redmond is in Atlanta, and she is a law professor at the University of Georgia. Melissa, calling out the federal prosecutor, Wanda Cooper Jones, had a message to send. They were not happy about this plea deal to the point where it really did overshadow her first remarks. Your thoughts?
I think it highlights the difficulty that we face as prosecutors in how to proceed with the case. Of course, the victims and the victims' families deserve to be heard and have their input taken into consideration as to how a case can resolve. But we also have to remember that prosecutors are a voice for the victims, but they don't represent the victims. They represent the government. And they are tasked with doing what's in the best interest of the government, of what's in the best interest of that particular case. And unfortunately, sometimes those two goals don't align. What the family wants to see happen and what the prosecutor believes is in the best interest of everyone involved. And so I can understand the family's disappointment, their anger, and feeling as though their wishes were not being considered in the state's, the government's recitation of the plea recommendation to the government, to the judge. And from my understanding, they thought this family agreed, or at some point the family considered it, but the family states that was never the case. In any event, you want the judge to make sure you tell the judge that this is what the state believes is the best interest. The victims and the victim's family have every right to come to court and say, we do not agree, we do not want this to happen, this is what we want you to do instead, judge. And ultimately, that final decision is up to the court. But again, because this is Ahmaud Arbery's mother, his father, his family, that have to live with what happened to him, and it's not, it is very personal, their view of what should happen may be very different from the prosecutor who's looking at it very analytically, as far as what evidence they have, what burden, the burden of beyond a reasonable doubt that they have to meet. So it is a case where we see that play out, that dynamic, and how sometimes those visions for what should happen to a case don't align in every case between the prosecutor and the victim and the victim's family.
Yeah, and if victim families were steering the ship in every case, it would the system wouldn't work the way it does right now, and everything has to be taken into account. But from her perspective, obviously, she felt as though the federal government had let her down with that plea agreement. Didn't happen. The judge stepped in, and then we got the guilty verdicts today. All three found guilty on all charges after only a few hours, frankly, of deliberations. They started the federal jury to deliberate yesterday afternoon. This morning, right out of the gate, they had a quick question to the judge about how the verdicts were going to be read. And then at 10:30 Eastern this morning, these three defendants found out their fate on the federal side, and it was the same as in Georgia, guilty on all counts. Your overall thoughts of this two-year odyssey? Tomorrow is the anniversary of the death of Ahmaud Arbery, and when you look back at what happened and the fact that this, from the very beginning and now to the very end, Wanda Cooper Jones was steering this family through the judicial system. There were no charges filed initially by the first prosecutor. They looked at the video and said no charges. Here. It wasn't until that was disseminated across the planet that the pressure ramped up. Your thoughts on being your own advocate if you are up against a system that is not listening, and what everyone can take away from the strength and the power that Wanda Cooper Jones showed over the last 2 years?
I think it's important to remember that we each have a voice and an ability to highlight injustices. In this case, it was the family who said that this is not right, and I will not stand for this happening to my son and no one being held accountable. It also, to me, is very concerning when we think about what could have happened had the family not brought this case to light, had that video not been disseminated in the media. And whether or not either of, or any of these defendants would have been prosecuted for what they did to Ahmaud Arbery.
And if there was no video, there's no case here. Even with the video, there was a possibility of no case here, which is really hard to wrap your head around given where we are now. And sometimes you can bang your head up against the wall and there's no one listening on the other side. And hopefully that this case does give people sort of the motivation on both sides to stop, look, and really look into a case. Last thoughts, Melissa, before we let you go. Overall, was justice served here, both at the state level and the federal level when it came to these three men?
Absolutely. I think at the state level, it was a different case. It was about their actions. And the facts of the case. They kept race out of the state's case and tried it just based on the evidence. This is the evidence we have of what they did. It was not a valid citizen's arrest. It was not self-defense. And then in the federal case, we saw the government be able to go into those motivations because that was what they had to prove, that they were motivated by racial animosity towards Ahmaud Arbery, that the only reason they stopped him as he jogged down the street was because of the color of his skin, and their reasons of that assumption of criminality solely based on his race. And so I think it provides a complete view of not only there not being a question of the McMichaels and Mr. Bryant's actions, but the motivations behind those actions, I think is what we have from taking both of those cases together.